Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. And here on Invisible Condition, we know that life can be tough sometimes. We get it. We also know that there is always hope. And so we cling to that. We lean on that because we know there's always hope. I want to talk to you just for a minute about our amazing nonprofit partner of Invisible Condition, which is called Hydro with Hope. And that is our nonprofit partner is there to help people with a condition that I was born with. It's called hydrocephalus. And everybody with hydrocephalus has some crazy symptoms, but the one thing that is very common with people with hydrocephalus is that brain surgery is a frequent occurrence in most people's lives with hydrocephalus. And I'm no exception. I've had 7 so far. I'm not planning on ever having another one, but I've had 7 to date. And that's a nice round number. We'll just call it at that. How about that? We'll call it at 7. However, there are so many people out there that have had so many more and have had a very rough time of it. And so we want to provide help for those folks, those families, those patients that are having trouble. And so you'll probably see an ad during the show for a couple things with that name on it. So I just wanted to, if you want to help, I would love to hear from you. The best way to get in touch with me is this email right here. So if you want to help with anything having to do with Hydro with Hope, in fact, we are looking for board members for our nonprofit to be able to, because we have so much on the horizon and so not enough resources to do what we want to do. So we are actively looking for more board members for our board to help us expand and be able to do more for more people and more families. So if you are interested, if that is you, man, I'd love to hear from you. Just email me and we'll talk. Also, speaking of that, I'm going to leave this email here because this is for you too. If anybody has been watching for a while and is like, you know what, my business would benefit from being a commercial on this show or a sponsor of this amazing show, reach out. I'd love to talk to you too. So we love talking to people that align with what we believe and what we stand for here at Invisible Condition. And so if you would be interested in talking about that, man, would I love to have a conversation with you, because I always love aligning with people that have a common vision. So that being said, today is an episode that we are going to have a Michal LeBaron back on the show. There she is. All right. Hey, Michal. Thank you for being here again. Can't wait to dive into the next amazing topic that you have for us. And I'm sure it'll blow some minds and challenge some beliefs. And that's what we're here for. So bring it on. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I threw a little fit this week because it's like, well, why can't I just do the fun, fluffy, feel-good stuff? I have to be the one like chiseling humanity out of its survival.
Maybe we could do one of those too later. I don't know.
I do have some fluffy feel-good things. Yeah, and so for those who might be new, just a little introduction. I am a functional medicine practitioner and have a master's in nutrition and a lot of other certificates and things, and none of that got me fully healthy. And so it caused me to, manage my symptoms for a long time with a lot of restrictions and expensive supplements and, constant chiropractic visits and all of the things. Couldn't eat gluten or dairy or, all the things. And so I reached a breaking point with that, because I felt it wasn't sustainable. And I was also realizing that didn't mean I was healthy. Managing symptoms means I have symptoms to manage, which means I'm unhealthy. And so there's your first truth bomb of the day. But so when I started looking at things a little bit newly, that's what caused me to just start researching and seeking answers and what am I missing? And so what the path that I went down, which made sense to me at the time, though I don't really know if I believed it would work, was focusing on the nervous system and focusing on nervous system regulation, meaning our bodies are either in a state of fight or flight, survival mode, the sympathetic nervous system, or the parasympathetic, which is resting, digesting, growth, and repair. And it made sense that if I could keep my body in the parasympathetic all the time, like 24/7, I'd be experiencing a lot better results than I was with just these little bits of, oh, a massage here, or deep breathing there, or, yoga here, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, within a few months, I was eating gluten again, which I was autoimmune to gluten. It wasn't just a little sensitivity.
Yeah.
I could eat any of the foods. My lab tests were normal. I was weaning off supplements and meds. And to this day, I mean, years later, I've been able to eat all those foods. I haven't needed, supplements or meds. And my lab tests are still normal and don't show a sign of my autoimmune disease, genetic disorder, environmental illness, severe allergies, all of those tests normal, which I was told would never be possible because I had permanent things that would require permanent management. And so when Jeff says we're here to like rattle some beliefs, it's just because we're embodying like what we were told was impossible. And so I really am passionate about sharing with others what is possible.
One, and I can attest to that. I just finished Michal's program, and not that long ago, not just, but just, maybe a couple of months ago. And I'm just starting. I'm like the baby. I'm a baby now. I'm like, according to I'm starting out brand new now as a fully healthy person, and I'm growing into that. And so one thing that I can tell you is that I had my final, if I have anything to do with it, brain surgery was in October of 2021. And after that, I was a mess, and I had all kinds of symptoms. I had all kinds of side effects. It was very tiring, very painful. And I had a CT or an MRI that they wanted me to do, to follow up, right? The follow up from the brain surgery. And it was about 6 months after. And it was a very sick looking brain. It was very slit ventricles. If you guys don't know what this means, I can explain it to you another time. But your ventricles is what helps you drain the fluid that your brain's always producing. And if there's slits, it doesn't let it go through very fast. So it's bad. It's unhealthy. It's an unhealthy brain. As far as I know, I'm no doctor, so don't quote me on that. Don't write like hate mail or anything if I'm getting it wrong. But that's my interpretation of it, is that it was a very unhealthy looking brain, and I had all those symptoms and all those side effects. And after going through with Michal and Alicia and everything that we had done, I had my last MRI it was June. It was in June, and I had a follow up in August with my neurosurgeon, and that was after, I think, just going through with Alicia. I don't think I had started with you again, and even just that, the ventricles were opened up again. The fluid is collecting in the ventricles where it's supposed to in a healthy brain, and all the things. It looked like it was like night and day, and even the neurosurgeon commented on it. So. This is palatable stuff. This is like actual measurable, things. So it's, I can't wait to see what happens a year from now. If I go back for another, if they bug me, like they had to bug me for like a year to get that follow up. I was like, I feel fine. Why am I doing this? Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there as somebody that has experienced benefit from this. So,
which is so cool. Like those are the fun stories of like, the surgeons can't find the.
I don't have a clue what to do with it.
Then another one. So let's go to a different surgeon. Oh, he still can't find it after all this imaging because holes in cartilage don't repair, right? So it's like, or do they? I'm not making any claims. I'm just saying what I've seen. So
right. All right. So with all of that, there's your testimonial for today. What are we talking about today?
Well, what came to my heart was to talk about consciousness. And we were talking before this of like, what is that weird?
It's such a buzzword.
Like, what is it? So hopefully I can present a lens which will provide some education and some different ways to view things and maybe bring some clarity to a weird word.
Yeah, a weird and overused word right now. Yeah, it's like everybody's talking about consciousness. So,
Yes.
all right, let's do it.
Do you mind even sharing? Because like that's funny for me to hear that you say that everyone's talking about it. Maybe I don't get in those circles. I don't know, but it's like, could you tell me like what do people think this is? Like, how is it being used? Like,
as far as, so from what I've heard from people that when I do Zoom calls, which is the majority of my day, is Zoom calls talking to people that are interested in being guests on the show. And a lot of them, that's part of what they do. Like there's people that are talking about, like they talk about the functional medicine space, or they talk about the holistic space, and they talk about spirituality a lot. And they talk about, and so that's where this consciousness concept comes from, is, they're aware of the universe and where and conscious of, activity in the universe and things that are coming to them from the universe. We would say, God is providing, or, Jesus is blessing us with something. But, for people that aren't in that realm, that aren't Christians, that's where I hear it a lot, is consciousness. And, and this, it's like this mysterious force of movement and blessing and things that are just the universe, and I like, if that's what you believe, I am not trying to throw anybody under the bus or anything. That's just my interpretation of it. That's not what I believe, but that is what I've heard so much of talking to people in general. So that's my take on it.
Well, thank you for sharing too, because it helps me know. Language is such a limiting thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I even look across cultures and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're all saying the same thing. It's just the language and our understanding of these terms and words and how it's used. So even as we teach clients, like a big thing we say is you're going to hear terms like get grounded, or, are you connected, or put yourself first, or a shortcut, or parent yourself, or do your best. It's like, but nobody knows what these mean. So we have to define our terms. So I think that's why there's ambiguity about some of these words, because, excuse me, I thought we were on do not disturb there. It's like you could hear a term from someone new age, and then you could hear it in the church, and then you could hear it from in meditation. It's like, well, what is it? So I'm not going to tell you the truth about what it is, but I can share how I relate to this term and how it's helped me understand illness and healing in a different way. So that's going to be my goal. Cool. And it certainly is not exhaustive by any means. But so David Hawkins did a lot of research on lots of things, but he would even test the effects of certain things on people. He would have research centers and like test people for, did microwave radiation have a negative effect on them? Oof. And, and same with like foods and all sorts of different things. And so what's interesting is he built a map of consciousness. And so I like that because it kind of just puts some things into perspective. Mm-hmm. So how he essentially described it was, in lower consciousness states, we are in a survival paradigm.
Okay.
So lower consciousness is things like being run by shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride.
Okay.
And that a higher consciousness might be, there's like reason and integrity. So now I'm not just in my reactions, those reactions, those triggers, those, lower vibrational emotions, if you will. And I'm so sorry because language sucks sometimes. It's like I have to describe it in 3 different languages for people to understand.
I know. Yeah. And I get it. It's okay.
Okay, we're trying. The next level,
if anybody has questions, I'm sure they'll reach out and go, what the heck were you talking about?
Yeah, can you please explain this? Yes, I will do my best. The next one is reason and integrity. So now you're thinking, okay, you could also think I'm in my animal brain, my just reaction reflex animal brain, survival brain, or I'm using my higher brain functions like reason and integrity, right? Where my values start coming through. So that's like courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance. So you think of someone going through grief, you know, like the grief waves, and they come to a place of acceptance. That's a very integrated whole place with grief.
Yeah. Yep.
But people who get stuck in the process are in those lower emotions of anger, denial, bargaining, these things.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And so reason is another one. And then there's higher, which David Hawkins does call spiritual.
Okay.
But I think the word spiritual is terrible because nobody knows what it means. So
it can mean anything. That's the problem.
Exactly. So these are some of the things we experience in that paradigm, which is love, like genuine, unconditional love. Not I'm going to be nice to you. I genuinely and I'm experiencing love for you.
Yes.
Joy, peace, authenticity, like being honest and authentic and being who you are and not being who you think you should be. So these are just some of the concepts and the words that are put to different levels of consciousness. Now, another way, so coming back to the microwave story, what was so interesting is microwave radiation would only have a negative effect on people who were in survival mode.
Okay.
So the people who were more conscious or in higher states of consciousness, not in survival mode, right, but in the parasympathetic, in a regulated state, have more self-awareness, more emotional intelligence. These are just some other words, emotional maturity. You know, they had done more personal development, maybe, whatever. Okay. They did not react negatively to the same negative triggers like the other people did. So now we're not just talking like, oh, is gluten good for you or bad for you? Well, when I was in survival mode, I reacted to gluten. It caused autoimmune reactions and it was poisonous to me.
Yeah.
And I blamed the gluten.
Sure. What else are you going to blame? You had nothing else. You had no other knowledge of what else to blame.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm finding, well, what's wrong with me? How do I get to the root cause of my symptoms? And I'm blaming, you know, all the outside stuff, the food quality, toxins in the environment, toxins in personal care products. I'm blaming all this stuff. And then I'm trying to manage and change all this stuff. And I mean, it worked to the level it worked. I went from bedridden to seemingly normal, but I still had to avoid gluten, dairy, corn, soy, nightshades. You know, I still had to take tons of supplements. My body clearly was not functioning optimally. Then I do nervous system regulation, which raised my level of consciousness on the map of consciousness. Nice. And then all of a sudden I can eat gluten now with zero effects. And so it's kind of like, what is our focus on? Is it on the external world and our environment, or is there something else to be looking in, like our nervous system? So when we come back from the break, we'll chat about what consciousness has to do with nervous system, because it's actually our unconscious survival programs that are dysregulating our nervous system. So that's why this is even relevant.
Well, that makes sense, because why would we do it to ourselves on purpose? That's dumb. We want self-preservation is still a thing, right? So we don't want to damage ourselves on purpose. So yeah, it makes sense that it's in the subconscious. All right, cool. All right, everybody. See, told you we'd blow the mind right out of the back of here we go. There it goes already. And we still have the rest of the show. So stick around, don't go anywhere, and we'll see you soon. love to talk to you a little bit about our sponsor, Dunamis Marriages. And now struggling marriages often lead to a dramatic sense of disconnection from your spouse that can seem suffocating. Even if your marriage is doing pretty well, there is a way for you to thrive no matter what. Dunamis Marriages believes that God designed marriage to be a lifelong, heart-connected journey. And they're here to help you get there at Dunamis Marriages. Located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, their faith-based marriage intensive has an 83% success rate. I'm going to say that again, 83% success rate. Guiding couples through deep emotional healing and lasting transformation. Why is that important? Because most marriage counseling has a less than 10% success rate, leaving broken hearts and marriages in its wake. Led by Dr. Pauline Dillard, who brings over 42 years of marital wisdom, these marriage intensives are different. Typical marriage counseling is more of a once a week for an hour type of thing that can last for years and really end up getting you nowhere. The intensive model that Dr. Pauline uses brings couples together. Each session lasts about 2 to 3 hours and is conducted over 5 to 6 sessions. The time that you invest in a marriage intensive will combine biblical truth with proven psychological principles to restore communication, trust, and intimacy. At Dunamis Marriages, they don't just treat symptoms, they equip you with the tools to build a thriving, Christ-centered marriage. If you're ready to break free from frustration and rekindle your relationship God's way, act now. Visit DunamisMarriages.com today. That's DUNAMAS marriages.com. And take that first step toward a stronger, more fulfilling marriage. Build your marriage on a solid foundation and enjoy your spouse like you never thought possible.
Hey friends, this is Ben Hummel. I'm the host of the Genius Way Show, where you'll learn to access your inner gifts, talents, and callings and how to express them out in the world. Join me here each Sunday at noon Pacific time on the Achieve TV network, right here on E360 TV.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are here with Michal LeBaron, and we are learning some mind-blowing stuff. If you did not catch the first segment, I highly encourage you to go back and watch because it'll kind of set the stage for what we're diving into here. So, given everything that we talked about, oh, and by the way, I just want to throw this out one quick here thing. If everybody is watching, I mean, wherever you're watching, like, I feel like this is a good time to do this after the first segment. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, if you're watching on E360, it's a little tricky, but if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, super easy to comment. So if you have questions, if you're like, oh my gosh, that blew my mind, I don't know what to do with what she just said, put a comment in there and we can get in touch with you. We also have her Michal's website and QR code on the screen, which is there specifically so that you can get in touch with her and talk to her. So so if there's anything that's making you scratch your head or driving you crazy or frustrating you, or that's not what I've always learned or heard, that's what we're here for. So
Totally.
So all right.
Which is so funny. We're Chronic Illness Solution, and we've had a few names as things have shifted and grown.
Sure.
But there's a change bring because I'm like, ooh, Conscious Illness Solution, but I don't know that people will know what that means. But maybe we can educate them. So
I don't know. I mean, you're the business. You're the owner, so I don't know. You do whatever but
but what's so interesting is I think where the gut punch is this. You laugh because you know one's coming.
No.
Okay. I think most of us think we are pretty conscious.
Sure.
But if we have chronic illnesses, chronic symptoms, which could also be like behavioral, eating disorders, addictions, problems with our finances and spending. It's like dysfunction in any area of our life.
Yeah.
Insecure attachment styles. This means that where we fundamentally are operating is in survival mode. So now when I read, survival mode is shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, which is where the majority of people are in the world, are in survival mode. It's like, whoa, I think I'm a pretty loving person, I think I have the joy of the Lord. But, this was the invitation for me. Yeah. Of like, I have to be open and willing to look at where are my behaviors and patterns and habits and my autopilot mode. Where is that coming from? Fear or shame or traumas? And it's usually unconscious, because if I have a dysregulated nervous system, which you do, period, black and white, if you have any ongoing symptoms, you have a dysregulated nervous system and you're in sympathetic dominance. End of story. Like, there's no exceptions to that. That's just how it works.
Well, and it's not even, there's nothing wrong. I mean, it's kind of, I swear I say this 1,000 times when we're together on the show, but it's, you don't know what you don't know. So don't beat yourself up, everybody. Yes. Don't think that you're supposed to know this. You're not, very many people are aware of this. And it's kind of like if everybody's seen The Matrix, the first one, the first of the trilogy, The Matrix, and Neo is waking up from his, he just got completely redone and reborn and whatever. And he's in the Matrix now, and he's, and he wakes up and he goes, my eyes hurt. Why do my eyes hurt? And Morpheus says, because you've never used them before. You've never actually used them before. You've been seeing something that's false, and now you're actually seeing what's true. And so that's what this reminds me of. It's like, you just don't know what you don't know. So that's all.
Yep, that's it. So it's like, what is the goal? It's to become conscious of anything I was unconscious of that is dysregulating my nervous system and other things, but we can keep it simple to that. That was the beginning of my journey.
Yep.
And then once I was physically healthy and didn't have any symptoms, I was like, maybe I want to see how this affects my relationships, or go into some attachment style healing work, or parenting, right? What does a regular mental parent look like? And I've been studying that for many years. And, what about business? What needs to tweak in my business? Because I was in survival mode being a business owner, in how I approach things. So then slowly I can integrate that into all those other areas of life. So now consciousness means something else. It's not some mystical thing. I mean, sure, it is also, I'm sure, a mystical thing, but now it's very rooted in my own experience. How conscious am I of what's causing me to be in survival mode? And how much does my growth and my self-awareness actually translate into the day-to-day life? Or do I only know it conceptually? Do I actually experience it, right? So we talk a lot, because I think a lot of your followers are believers, and it's just like, oh, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Well, how many people actually experience that in their own experience, not as a concept? So that would mean I only know something intellectually, but I am not yet conscious of it in my own experience. This could be another way to use consciousness.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of people live this way, where it's like, oh yeah, I know I'm triggered. I know I shouldn't react. I know I should respond. We know all this stuff. I know I should slow down. I know I shouldn't care what people think. I know I shouldn't be a perfectionist. Just get it done. It's good enough. We know all this stuff.
Yeah.
Are we truly conscious of it though? That's consciousness. That's a consciousness conversation. So that's what I feel like we help people with, as we take all the intellectual knowing and we help people have a facilitated experience where they can learn it in their own experience. Like, oh, this is way different. This is my body being regulated, right? Or we work through a trigger or a trauma, and then all of a sudden there's no emotional charge, and they're like, oh, this is what feeling healed about that is, like
Right.
in my body, right? So, yeah.
Well, and I remember you taking me, like when we first started months ago, when we started the program, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna put you in that regulated when you're gonna experience it, and then you're gonna know that that's what we're working towards. It's like, here's what it feels like to be totally regulated and totally healthy. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, that was cool. Man, if only I could spend the whole day like that, or the whole week, or my whole life like that. And that's the goal. That's the goal.
Yes.
It's kind of like the difference between reading a book about swimming and getting in the pool,
Yes.
So yeah.
Totally. Because it can make sense intellectually, doesn't mean you have the muscles. Same thing as riding a bike. You can totally understand it. It's so simple, right? It's so simple.
Sure.
You watch someone, it's so simple. And then you get on and it's not so simple until you all of a sudden something clicks. All in one single moment, you have discovered balance on the bicycle, and you can never lose it. So if you think about the skills we've been teaching, because we've been here for a couple seasons now, the skills that we're teaching of being slowed down, present in the moment, in a regulated nervous system, seeing things from a higher viewpoint than just our human little reaction, and our past traumas, and how to do our best, and what that means, and how to let go of these shoulds and the judgments and the analyzing, and our limiting beliefs about ourselves, and people pleasing, and perfectionism and codependence, and all of these dysfunctional patterns. Right. All that is a dysregulated nervous system. It's being in survival mode. And so we're saying it is simple. It's a simple switch to our default being in a regulated, which means self-aware and conscious state. And then we grow and expand from there, but that being our default. And so I would not say it's easy, but I would say it's simple.
There's a lot of things like that.
Yes.
Riding a bike is simple, but it's not always easy. So or whatever you want to say, water skiing, snowboarding, skydiving, it's very simple.
Yes. It is. It looks very, yes.
It looks very simple. How easy is it to actually, Yeah.
I know, yeah. And see, once you have it down, once you discover the balance, right? Or you discover how to do the thing, then it is easy. It does become easy through.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. So, that's all I kind of wanted to cover, but of course I'm open for questions, and I can always share more. I kind of want to see what you think of, like, is this clear? What's your experience of being more conscious? Because we've shown you, like, this is where you were before, and here's how you've expanded in your consciousness and how much shadow you've integrated. Is there anything you want to say?
Well, I tell you, I was just looking back because I still have these notes that I took when I started working with Alicia, who I would also love to have on the show. Maybe her and you and I should come and do a show sometime, and have her included in this, because she's a huge part of how I got here. So, because when we decided to work together, and you were gonna, I was gonna go through your program, you started asking me some questions. You started going down that road, and you're like, no, you're not. Nope, it's not going to work yet. It's like you had to tenderize. Somebody had to tenderize me or something, like, had to work me over a little first to open me up. I've always been kind of a tough nut to crack sometimes. So I worked with her for several months, I think. And what she does is amazing too. And it's a little different, but man, was it important, and it was so effective. And so I was looking through those notes again, and it's so crazy, because I was in there was a lot of frustration and a lot of pain and a lot of, I don't know, just I could not figure out why I was in this state.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I didn't know. And
Yes.
it was so frustrating. And I was so angry with myself that I was here and that I couldn't figure it out, because I'm usually able to figure a lot of stuff out. I'm usually a pretty smart guy, and I can figure stuff out. But that I don't know. It was not coming to me. And so, but that's where the help comes, and that's where tools come in, and that's why you have more than one person on your team, right, Michal? You've several people that if this person over here, if Bryce isn't the one that you should work with, then maybe Madeline is right, or maybe Michal is right, or maybe you go to Alicia first. Once I got through that, cracked through that, and was able to actually start going down the road with your program, yeah, it was pretty cool. And I don't know who out there is like this. I'm sure if there's guys, especially with men, I think I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but with me, it's like, okay, like with the dietary stuff, like when we were experimenting with cutting out gluten and dairy and eggs and whatever, corn, all the things. And when we cut that out, my kids were like, oh, I miss bread. Oh, I miss ice cream. Oh, I'm like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. We cut that out. We're done. We're done with it. It's over. No, we don't have that stuff anymore. And I was just like, flip the switch, done, moving forward, and finding other things to eat. And same thing with this program of yours. It's like, okay, this is where we are now. This is what I'm in. This is the life that I have now, and this is, I'm fully healthy, and I don't know what anybody that says any different, I don't know what that means. So so I don't know if there's people out there that just like, I'm sure there's women out there that are like that too, that just flip the switch and it's like, okay, this is how it is now.
Yep. All in. We're going.
All in. That's right. That's head first, all in.
Well, and I love what you pointed to as well, was like to look back and see, oh, that was so much frustration and anger and this and that. And it's interesting because last episode we did together, we ended up talking about anger. Like, can you be at peace with your anger? That would be like, you can experience anger from anger, which means you're just in anger. There is nothing else but the experience of anger. Or you could be in peace overall.
Yep.
Around and experience anger coming up from a place of peace, which I know to most people is probably like, what? It
seems backwards. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What do you?
But that's the point, though, is like, that's what consciousness is. It's not just an emotion, but it's literally like when you see the bigger picture, there's more awareness, and it's like, oh my gosh, my friend was supposed to meet me for lunch and totally ghosted me. Right. And that's how I perceive it. And so I'm all upset. And then I find out, right, she was on her way on time and got into a car accident and is in the ICU, and I'm over here throwing a fit, and this is a fake story, right? But it's like, and so then all of a sudden in the moment I see the same details. The details do not change, but I see the same details from a bigger vantage point. I all of a sudden have a different experience. That's like one of the easiest ways for me to describe.
Yeah.
Being more conscious, seeing things from a bigger perspective. And so now it's like you don't have that same frustration in your relationship with yourself. You meet yourself in a very different way, from like curiosity, because that's a higher conscious thing.
Mm-hmm.
From curiosity, from compassion, you immediately go into, how can I support myself? What do I need? Should I contact Michal for support, or do I lay down and need a nap? That's very different than, oh, when is this going to end? And this is, my body's so broken. And these are states of consciousness. And so really, to be in a regulated state all the time will require an expansion of consciousness to a level where your default mode is regulation. So that's.
Yeah. And it's true. And that is where I would go, is very frustrated. And like, if I forgot something, or, I would blame the condition, and I would blame, and it would just get me so mad, so angry. And it was at myself, it was nobody else, but somebody else was there. So they felt it, it was like, your anger affects everybody around you. So it was crazy. But, I have a story that I'm going to tell on the other side of that I'll just kind of, it's short, but I want to throw it out there at the end of on the other side of the break that kind of illustrates, the perspective thing. Cause it's one I talk about in shows sometimes, but it's so relatable because everybody has seen this. And so we'll touch on that in just a minute. Everybody stick around. There's a little more to come. We'll see you on the other side.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right, before we bring Michal back for the conclusion of this amazing episode, I want to talk to you about Invisible Condition University. Or ICU for short. We did that on purpose, don't worry. Invisible Condition University empowers you to face whatever invisible condition you happen to be up against, you or a loved one may be facing, by providing a community that listens, that cares, that walks with you no matter what you're going through. You'll be part of a community that meets twice a month on Zoom so that you can have a safe place for you or your loved one to, ask questions, get support, or just find some hope. Sometimes that's all you need, some hope. This is something I wish would have been around 10 years ago. I've had 6 surgeries in the last 10, 12 years, and 4 of them are brain surgeries. And it's been a little bit of a wild ride around here. And so, man, how valuable this community or something like it would have been for us, for my wife, who has been my caregiver, my amazing, wonderful caregiver for the last 10, 12 years through all those surgeries, and myself to come on a call like this and be able to, with no judgment, be able to just talk and express what we're going through and find solutions. So I present this to you. Invisible Condition University is only $17 a month, and you can find us at invisibleconditionuniversity.com. As my gift to you, your first month will be free. Come check us out for a couple of meetings, a couple of calls, first and third Tuesday of every month on Zoom, and invisibleconditionuniversity.com, or scan the QR code. And our next time that we will be together will be June 3rd. And so if you don't catch the live call, you can always save every recording, so you can always go back and learn. So, all right, here we go. Let's bring Michal back, and there we go. Oops, and take that off. There we go. All right. Okay, so I
have a story.
I did have a story. I've seen this so many times, and I'm sure everybody has. Everybody can relate to this story. So picture this: you've just pulled up to the supermarket, and you're getting ready to get out of your car, and you see a person pull into the handicap spot in the front, right in the front of the store. And they get out, and they've got the handicap plates, they've got the placard. They're official, like they're not stealing it, they're not being that guy, but they've got the plate, they've got the placard. And this person jumps out of the car, and seemingly healthy person, like, kind of walks with no problem into the store briskly and comes out with a few bags and puts it in the car and gets in with virtually no trouble and drives away. And you go, what in the world? What the heck just happened? Did that person like borrow grandma's car, or whatever, and just to get an upfront parking spot? What a jerk, And that's I mean, not gonna lie, that was my reaction. That was my reaction 20 years ago. If I had seen that, I would have been that guy. Been like, what's going on there? After the last 10 years of what's been going on around here, I have developed a little more compassion. And after going through the program with you, there's like you said, you can't unsee it. You can't unlearn it. My first response now is, I wonder if that guy or girl or family, wonder if that person had to take an extra dose of their medication and take a nap, just to have the energy to drive to the store, get out of the car, look relatively normal, which I can tell you from past experience is very hard when you're dealing with symptoms of illness and stuff. It's really, it is exhausting to look normal. And get out of the car and go into the store and get all the stuff you need and remember everything you need, because you don't want to have to come back because you're losing all your energy right now just to do this, and then get back in the car and go home and probably take a nap after you get there. So nobody thinks about that. Everybody judges the person for looking normal and being that jerk that stole the handicap spot. So
yeah, totally. That's a great example. Yeah. And totally. Lastly, I was thinking on the break, I'm like, I didn't get to share my favorite part.
Yes.
The consciousness chart.
Bring it.
This is that I think we'd all agree that overall the world has negativity in it. Okay. Yeah. So, and we're all like, we want the world to change and to heal.
Right.
Yes. This is kind of the same, right? Like survival consciousness is more negative. Then we become the neutral observer. We have a neutral observation mind. And then we have the positive, loving, supportive, nurturing, higher perspective, kind of positive perspective, a way of approaching the world. And so, the coolest thing is that at each of these stages of consciousness, David Hawkins measured people to see what energy they were emitting. And so these are also like, what are the frequencies? Like shame is 20. Love is 500, just to give you a scale. Okay. So about 200 is where we move from our pride into courage, into the positive, or I'd say the neutral, from survival to neutral. And so when we have one person that's operating at the level of, willingness, 310, we counterbalance 90,000 individuals that are below 200, because lower vibrational energies, frequencies are very separate. They're disconnected. They thrive on disconnection. Whereas higher frequencies encompass more of the whole, they're more connected. So a higher frequency is always going to counterbalance a lower frequency. It's more powerful. So it's like the positive in the world is more powerful than the negative in the world. So when we do work on ourselves to become more conscious, more regulated, more secure, more emotionally intelligent, all of that, mature, operating in integrity and reason and value systems, we counteract thousands and thousands who might be operating at a lower place. So that's just the first one. There's a few more numbers I want to say here. So somebody that operates and stays in peace, the frequency of peace, counterbalances 10 million individuals in survival. And when we start getting into authenticity and awareness, and surrender and grace and all of that, it's counterbalancing 70 million. And when we're talking like Christ consciousness, you know, enlightenment, and that's a whole nother horrible buzzword. No one knows what it means. But anyway, that counterbalances 840 million. That frequency of 1,000 counterbalances 840 million people, individuals that would be operating below 200. So it's really, really cool that the work we do is like healing the world, healing our families, our communities. When we become more healthy or secure, it pulls, you know, people together that are like-minded. It might push away people that are not. However, overall, we are still contributing to the world a lot more positive stuff than I think we take credit for.
Wow.
And that's just encouraging to me that it's not all about Michal, which it's not, because that would be pointless and and purposeless, right? But it is that any work that I do in myself not only affects my immediate family, my daughter, but it's affecting my neighborhood, you know, and maybe whoever I see at the store. And maybe you don't have to say, hi, have a nice day, but you still have an effect wherever you go in so many ways. And we can feel that when a person walks in the room, we either feel, you know, like negative energy, it brings the whole room down, or there's people that walk in the room and they just light up the entire room. I want to be that person, you know, I want to contribute light and love to people. And so I just love that. That's my favorite part of.
Nice. And I remember that part. And I remember where you showed, like, when, after you go through the program, where you, like, kind of where you started down here, and then where you are after. And oh, it's so cool. So it's pretty cool, everybody. You should definitely scan the QR code and get in touch with Michal just for that reason, like, just to be on that scale, higher consciousness of being able to be that person in the world, you know, like, that's just cool. So, you know, I think that's what everybody's striving for. I mean, nobody wants to be the bad guy, but I think a lot of people just don't know how to get there.
True.
So,
yep. It's these little patterns and habits that aren't integrated, and they just run this automatic survival response, and off they go.
Yeah. Intentionality is a different thing. Yeah, for sure.
That's a good word.
Well, thank you. We're out of time, but man, that was packed full, man. That was a lot. So thank you so much. And we'll look forward to seeing you again on let's see. I'm not even sure. I think it might be June 3rd, I think, is the next time. So June 3rd will be the next time we will have Michal on the show. So we'll see everybody for that one. But also join us for our next show, which, if you are watching on any of these, thank you for being here. And I hope you commented on Facebook or YouTube if you were watching and had a question. Join us for our next show, which will be on Tuesday, May 23rd. And we'll look forward to seeing you then. And I go, whoops. See, welcome to live TV, everybody. Even I push the wrong button every once in a while. Have an amazing day, Michal. Have an amazing day, everybody. And we'll see you next time.